Inside the pack. There's nothing else inside there. So basically I have 3 outside pockets. We'll go with this pocket first. So in this pocket we have, I keep a folding saw. This is not a Laplander saw. A silky saw like that. It's probably could do with replacing it, but you know, I've had this thing for years, as you can tell by looking at it. It's well used, but it still works. I still process a lot of wood with it, and make lots of shelters and what have you with it, and haven't really had any issues with it, and really no reason to part with it yet. One day maybe if I find a deal on something else, or I'll replace it. But the only other thing inside that particular pouch, a 4-in-1 file. It's got 2 RAS and 2 crosscut files on there, and then I have a little gouge. I don't use this gouge a whole lot. I figure I'd be using it for doing bowls and stuff like that, but you know, to be honest with you, I throw it in there just in case, but I don't really use it that much. I find that knife that I showed you, and I'll show you when I open up my kit here. I mean, I can do everything I need to do with that, surprisingly enough, but yeah. Honestly, it's true. So I keep the file and the gouge there, and I got a couple stainless steel cups. This one here I was actually going to cut and make into like a little cooking thing to put on top, but again I haven't really found a use for that, a need to do that. I just use it as a cup, and put a second cup for somebody else if I got company. This one here I've got a couple holes, and I can, you know, put the skewer in there, or a bail or something like that to hang over a fire. And this one here, I just made a lid for the cups. All I did was I had a bunch of these little rings from, I picked it up at a garage sale or something like that. And I just took a soup can and cut it off. Instead of cutting it off where you normally would open a soup can right here, I cut it off here on the side. And that just made a nice little perfect lid that fits perfectly on these cups. And I can put a stick in there and take the lid off if I want, if it's too hot, and it just works great. And that was something I did on the cheap, and pretty easy to do. Inside here, this is just a stainless steel water bottle. Not a Guyot design. I don't even know what the make of it is, but it is a wide mouth, and I used to have a taller one. But I found it hard. I was always cramming it inside this pack, and it was just a little too tall, and I was always stretching everything and what have you. And I started using this, and I just found that it works just as good. It's all the water that I need. I have other ways of collecting water if I need to, and you know, this is more than enough for my personal use. Inside here, I keep a little bag full of stuff. Typical stuff you'll see, and most guys have. One thing I do carry a lot, I try and carry, is zip ties. I just find them easy for quick fixes. You have equipment you need to fix or what have you. I just find it really handy to have these zip ties, or these electrical ties, zap straps, whatever you want to call them, and they work really, really well. I've seen guys build whole shelters with these things, with sticks and tying them, obviously longer ones, but you can put these together to make a longer one. And they work really, really well. Not so great in the cold. They can snap in the cold or over time, what have you, but just a handy fixer thing to have. This is what I was going to talk to you about the gouge. This spoon here, now this may not be a work of art compared to a lot of guys out there, but this spoon, I carved with this knife, every little bit of it. I had a chunk of wood that I actually baton through, and it was a hardwood. I don't actually know what it was. I found it, so I couldn't really tell what it was, but it was definitely a hardwood, and I just carved it out. And even this part here, I mean, it's exactly, I used this knife to carve everything out. I just took my time and slowly did it, and it's a little bit rough cut still. I probably could use a little sandpaper to kind of clean it up, but it's a perfectly good spoon. You could use it for anything you need to use. And I'm not really into, you know, making a 1,000,001 spoons. When this one breaks, I'll make another one. And I sort of did it as to prove to myself what I could do with this knife. And it's not an advertisement for this knife. It's more of an advertisement of what you can do with knives, I guess. You can have all the little knives and gadgets and what have you, and and gouges and saws and all that stuff. But you know, you can do quite a bit with just a knife. And so yeah, it's a pretty good little knife. The other things I keep in there, and the reason why I have this pouch is obviously if I want to use my container, I could just take everything out with the pouch and all, and quickly use it. Sew all together. I don't have to lose it, or won't lose it. I carry 3 little stakes, and you can use them again if you put them in the right way. You can set your pot on top for a little fire underneath. It's kind of a pot holder idea, like that. Lots of little uses you can use them for. So there's a skewer for meat if I'm already using my skewers for something else. I also have an actual bail, like a fish mouth opener, and you've probably seen this on Dave Canterbury and other people too. Just a little, uses a little of a bail, looks pretty good. You can also use it on the water bottle itself. Works pretty good. Again, this is a little tall to be using with those skewers, as I showed you as a thing, but with the cup, definitely no problem. You can use, it's lots of room there. Another thing too is I carry a pair of vice grips, and I originally carried these as sort of a holder to kind of grab hot stuff out of the fire and what have you. But one thing I've also found too is that I actually use it for, like, if I'm tying a fly or something like that, I want to do some fishing and I find some feathers and I have some hooks or whatever the case may be. It makes a handy little vise for things like that, and just put it in there, stick it into a piece of wood or something like that, and you can definitely hold your hook to tie flies or what have you. So keep it in the bag, and I keep the whole can, the whole cook set in a bag because it gets dirty from the fire and stuff like that. If I don't have time to clean it, I can just throw it in this bag, throw it in the pack, and forget about it. Clean it up when I get home. Okay, in the front pouch. These buckles take a little bit to get into as far as these pouches go, but I definitely like leather and metal buckles. They just stand up. This pack has been through everything and never had a problem with it. I have a roll of bank line, and it's great. When I first did this, the roll I had was only a partial roll, and it fit in there a lot nicer. And I find I have to stuff this one in here with the other stuff that's in there, but it goes in, no problem. This is a brand new roll. I haven't even used it yet, but it's handy stuff to have. It's my main cordage for pretty much everything I do. Okay, I also got in here a little MSR cook kit. I just picked this up a little while ago. I really only used it once, but I find it quite handy. One thing I did last time was I actually took this little fish mouth opener and I used it as a little frying pan. It worked pretty good. You can even just stick a stick in here and put it over the fire, so you can cook a few little things in if you want to cook an egg or something like that, or you got something boiling in your pot or what have you. So, pretty handy little thing to have. Inside here, I have a bandana. I use that bandana as sort of my wash-up kit for dishes. I have other bandanas for other things. Inside here, I have just a package of soup mix. Carry a Bic lighter just for a spare lighter outside of my regular fire kit. I carry some steel wool, triple aught steel wool. Can use as a fire starter or what have you for cleaning up your dishes. This was the original string out of this pack that broke on me last time I was out. I carry a little bit of honey. I'm a big honey fan. There's a billion things you can do with honey. This one here has got a little cold, a little crystallized, but it still works. I mean, it still sweetens and what have you, so definitely like that. Bit of a coffee hound, so I always carry coffee with me. Actually need to replenish that. It's my last cup. Inside here I carry some lard. Nice thing about lard is that you don't have to refrigerate it, so you can just like it's Crisco oil is really what it is, not lard. But you can put it in there, and I can use it for cleaning up or what have you, or dressing stuff, or for cooking, whatever. Inside here, I got a little spice kit inside this. It's not Altoids, it's Barclays. Americans probably know these tins. Altoid tins are all over the internet. This one here is Barclays. It's trying to stick with a Canadian theme. Barclays is actually made in Richmond, BC, so sticking with that. Inside here, I've got some spices. I've got garlic salt, ginger, cinnamon, and cayenne pepper. Those are the 4 main things I have. So, and I've got this little it's a match case kit, but what I've actually turned it into is a fix-it sewing kit. Sorry about that. I had a bunch of kids coming downstairs. I had to kind of get them out of here. Anyways, so it's some people call this a housewife or a hussif. And inside here I have obviously thread on the outside. I have some safety pins. You can use them for making fishing rods for the eyelets, for the fishing rods, or even making fishing hooks out of them, or they just come in handy with keeping fixing material and keeping it together. I keep a few buttons just for repairs or clothing, and I also keep a couple little blades. And I mean, you couldn't legally use this as a spear point, but if you wanted to make like a little something trap for fish or some of that, I've got 3 of these, and they come in really handy, nice and razor sharp, and I just keep them all together. Just another little blade. And that's pretty much in that pouch. So inside here, I have a headlamp. One headlamp is really the best way to go. It keeps your hands free. You can do what you need to do, and what have you. I keep an extra slingshot band. There, but I made some breakdown arrows, and so pretty much. I didn't know if this would work, because I heard a lot of guys that tried this and said that it wasn't very good. But pretty much I screw these together, and then just bought the inserts, and then just screw these together and make a pretty good arrow. And is it as good as what you're going to buy at the store? No, it's not. And but they fly pretty true. I mean, for the short distances you're going to be shooting with a slingshot, I mean, they go pretty good. So I have never had any issues with it. Actually, I haven't taken any game with these because, you know, legally I can't shoot with a slingshot in BC. But for in an emergency situation or just trying to practice, it works pretty good. And it's a pretty straight arrow. And there's 3 of those that I made for that. Alright. So, inside here, I got my slingshot. Again, I did this way back when Dave Canterbury first did the sling bow idea and stuff like that, and he came up with this idea, or I'm not sure if he came up with it, but he presented it, and it works pretty good. I made it way back when. I've been using it ever since, and just got a whisker biscuit tied onto it. I did have to bend these channels or these bars that the bands go onto down a bit to kind of get it as a center shot. But it works really, really well. It's about, with these bands, I clocked this at about, it was about a 30-pound draw. So it could be better. It's not 40 pounds, so it's not legal for hunting. But definitely for plinking and just shooting stuff and practicing and what have you. And in an emergency situation, whatever. So folds up nice and away. This just folds down. You can use it as a regular slingshot. Lift it up, fire your arrows, what have you, and works great. So that was my, I would say my bushcraft kit, and I'll do another video showing some other packs I carry. And yeah, thanks for joining me, and take care.